Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'd like to actually do some kind of cleaning for this specific Power BI file before we create a new Power BI file and actually importing the data which we need for the next couple of videos. So if you already know me, then you know that I personally prefer to have my measures structured in a measure table instead of having them actually appearing all around here in various tables. So in order to do that, there's the so-called measures tables trick that can be easily done by going to Home and then click on Enter Data here. I take this option and then I can simply name this. This is my measures table. So I'll call this measures TBL like that. And then I simply need one dummy column. I leave it for now, the column 1. I click on Load just to create my measures table in the model. Just a second. And there the table gets loaded. And now it's available in here, the measures table. And then what I like to do is I like to move my measures into this measures table. And this can be done quite easily. Instead of doing it manually, you know that each of the measures, if you tick this option, has under Measure Tools, the option to specify the home table. So you can do this manually for each of the measures and specify in which table you want to move it. As an example, the measures table, for instance. Then you would see that now it's placed in the measures table. But this, of course, is tedious if you need to do it for each of the measures, in case you have not created this measures table from the beginning. So what you can do to speed things up is simply go to the model view. You can tick this option here, and then you can simply choose these measures, like these ones here. You can hold your Shift key to select several of them, or your Control key to select them individually. You can also do that. So select all the measures I have in here, like these ones, and this one, this one, and this one. So these are all the measures we have created so far. And then we can simply choose what kind of table you want. You could go to the properties to also display them in a folder if you want. But what I want is actually I choose all of them and I drag and drop them on top of the measures table. Then it gets a dotted line around. And if I drop them there, you see that now they're all placed in this measures table. So quite easy and very quickly. So we avoid to doing this manually. And then if I go back to my report view here, yes, apply the changes for now. So far, let me just take this option, discard it here for now. And then what I like to do is I like to click on the 3 dots for the column. I like to remove, in this case, I don't need it anymore. Delete from model, that was just a dummy column. I click on delete here. And then, so far so good, just a second, here we go. And now I have my measures table with the calculator icon here, right? So in former Power BI versions, I had to shrink the window from the fields and reopen it again. Then the calculator icon for the measures appear. Now it's appearing automatically in here. Okay. And now I have a table which only contains my measures in here. And I think this is a little bit more structured. But that's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Okay, so we got this. And that's actually it for this file. So I press Ctrl S to save my model here. And then I will open a new Power BI file. I already did that for a new model which we need in the next couple of videos. And here I'd like to import my data. So I go to Get Data here, or click on Excel. It's also an option, or click on Excel here. It's really up to you how you want to do it. So Get Data here, I click on Excel, and then I'm choosing my Power BI training file number 2. Once more, I click on Open just to reopen the report. And then I need to simply build the data model just quickly. So just a second. Here it is. I can import the tables or the sheets directly. So if you know me, then I personally always prefer the tables. So I make sure that I import only the relevant data. So I tick these options here, and then I go to Transform in here, and the query editor opens. Okay, so far so good. And then what I like to do here is I like to simply check my tables here, whether they are set up correctly, whether the data type is correctly set by Power BI automatically. It looks that way, at least for most of the columns. There's one little issue here with the ship date, so I can easily modify this. I can go in here and say I'd like to change this to a date. So I tick this option here, and here, no, I'd like to add a new step, just to make sure, and let's see, and we get a few errors here. So what's the problem? In this case, with dates, as well as sometimes with numbers, remember, it has sometimes issues because we live in different countries, and we sometimes have different ways how dates are actually specified. So here, month, day, or day, month, year, and so on. So that is why if you convert something in Power BI and you experience errors, then my go-to trick is always to tick the option here and say I'd like to go with using local. You can tick this option here, and then you can specify a local or try out a local date format. In my case, what I know actually is that in this case, Germany should work. So let's try that out. Let's go to here a date, and I want to use a German date. Let's figure that out. I click OK, and I still got the error. So if this is also the case for you, then my best trick or the best idea I can give you is, if you have a number in here, please first make sure to click here and convert it into text. You can add this new step, and this would always work. So this should never return an error actually. And then let's try that one more time. Click on the ABC, and this time using local, the go-to trick, and just wait until it opens. And now let's try that one more time from the text to the date. And again, I'm trying with the German date format here. I click OK, and now that works. Okay, now we have a proper date here for the ship date as well. So as I said, sometimes a little bit of trial and error, but what always works, at least so far for me, that's why I can give you this tip, is convert it first into text and then convert it into a proper format using this option using local. Okay, so that's it for basically the orders table we have here. So that's why I would like to rename it here. Let's call this orders, and then I press enter just to rename my tables here. The second one is this one, which are my employees. So let's call these employees. Okay, here we go. We got the employees table, and then finally here, table number 3 are my suppliers. So I also name these properly and say suppliers. So for me, I know I don't need to change anything here. This should actually work fine for me, but otherwise I always encourage you to try out and check out the data types here, and also whether you have missing data somewhere. As an example here, if I go to my orders table, and if I scroll to the right here, let's check that, and there should appear a column, which is my customer zip code. And you can see here a black part of this bar. And this always refers to the fact that there are missing values in the customer zip code. You can also check that if you go here and say, I'd like to see the nulls. So null is referring to missing. You click OK. And then you see there are obviously customers, at least one, which is in this case Patricia McKenna, and there is no zip code available for her. So this is something, in our case, it doesn't matter too much, but if this would be a real data set, a real case data set, then I would encourage you to reach out to the department who provides the data and then figuring out what is actually the zip code of, in this case, Patricia McKenna, if you use this column at all. I mean, if you don't use the column, you could also remove it from the data model. But if you, in general, if you have missing data, then always try to figure out why you have missing data and go to the responsible person to get the data you need, okay, to fix that. And here Power BI is really helpful, at least from my point of view, because of these bars. And if you hover over them, you get exactly some information what's actually the issue. So is there missing data? Then you have a black bar. And if you have errors, then you would also have a red bar in here, okay? Like we have seen when we converted the date to ship date, right? Okay, so we got our 3 tables. So they are good to go. They are fine. And now if I click on close and apply, just to load this, we just need to wait until the data gets loaded into the model and the relationships are detected. So just a second, and we got our data. So far so good. And the tables are appearing on the side. And the final part is always going to the model view, just to make sure that actually this works fine. In my case, I need to upgrade it now to see the new view. Probably you in the future will already see the new model like that, the structure. And I got my orders table here at the bottom, and I got my 2 other tables, employees and suppliers. And finally, one thing is missing here currently, which is the dates table. Always best practice, import your own dates table, and you can get this from the source section. This dates table here, I can simply go in here, I can copy all of this. You can write it yourself if you want, but you can also, of course, use this in the future for all your Power BI projects. Simply copy it and then go under Home, in this case, Get Data, and there is an option to use a blank query to paste the M code. Then the Power Query editor opens, and if you go to the advanced editor here and remove everything which is inside and simply paste here the M code. So quite long, but as I said, you don't need to remember it, you can just use it. And you click on Done, and then the function gets created, and here you can specify a start date, an end date, and a financial year start month, and also on holidays, table or calendar, calendar if you want to apply some. You can also do it, upload it here. So let me just go with start. and say the 1st of January 2019, and the end date will be the 31st of December in 2021 for me, and the financial year start month is January. That's fine. And then I invoke the function just to create my dates table. Invoke it, and here is my dates table, and then let me actually rename it here to dates. Press enter, and I have my final table here also created, and I go back to close and apply just to load my query inside a Power BI desktop in the model, and then I can also connect this table to my current model. Of course, it's always hidden on the right side, so I need to go out there and also actually paste it here as well, and also create a connection between, in this case, my dates table and my orders table. Drag and drop it on top, and then we also create the collection from the one side to the many sides, so 1 to star, between the two fields, which are highlighted if you hover over the relationship. And so far so good, that's it. So we have set up the model which we need. In the next couple of videos, we explore the calculate function using this model. So I can't wait to see you there. Wish you all the best.